Take your spot. Take your spot. How we doing?
Good, how are you?
You guys good?
Yes, sir.
All right. Hey, I'll try and do my best if they don't direct a question. Good. All right, welcome everybody. We've got West Virginia on the stage. Start off with a couple of announcements quick. Please silence your cell phones. Please provide your name and media affiliation each time you ask a question during the press conference. If you are joining on Zoom, please use the raise hand function for questions. We will address questions in the room first and get to Zoom if time allows. Also, recording press conferences on cell phones or cameras is prohibited. For West Virginia, we've got Sydney Shaw, J.J. Quinerly, and Jordan Harrison. We can get started. Who wants to go?
Cody Nesper, WV Sports Now. I guess for all you, assuming you watched the game last night, what was the first thing that jumps out about Columbia?
Why don't we start with Sydney here, and we'll work down the line.
One thing that definitely stood out to us, or at least me, their ability to execute in the second half of the game. Once they settled in, they were really solid. So just making sure we stay on our A's and B's and just execute the same way they did.
I think they were a team that stayed together despite being down in the first half. They came back and won that game being together, so that was a good sight for us.
And then for me, it's definitely their toughness. Like JJ said, them coming back from being down at halftime, they played a tough game and they stayed together.
Jordan, you mentioned toughness. I mean, that's been a staple for you guys too, defensively. Kind of, how do you go about matching that, and what do you expect from them?
Yeah, just going out there and doing what we've been doing all year, playing tough basketball, and like I said, they're playing tough too. So it's just a perfect matchup for us. So yeah, we'll just stick to doing what we do and keep playing there.
And I'm Doug from the AP. Sorry, I forgot to introduce myself. JJ, obviously before last night, there was still a possibility, you face one team or the other. How do you go about preparing for that? Did you focus on both, or just what was that like?
We kind of focused on both. I think it wasn't a time where we was going to focus on the team more than one until the game happened last night. So focused on both throughout the week and figured out who won yesterday. So now we focus more on Columbia.
Hey guys, Doug Feinberg, The Associated Press. What is your first March Madness memory as a fan, not as a player, but just a fan watching? Was it the Enrique shot years ago, or what was your first memory of women's March Madness?
Want to start here with Sydney again?
Ooh. Didn't Camila Cordoso hit a three? That was March Madness, right? Yeah. No. Ooh. Okay. Okay. Close to. Let's move on. You go ahead.
I don't really have like a specific memory, but I just remember watching like March Madness for the first time in like elementary school with my elementary teacher.
Mine is, I can't remember the guard's name, but she played for Mississippi State. Is it Morgan or yeah? She hit the shot against UConn, I believe. Yeah, so that was my introduction.
JJ.
Go ahead and say your name and affiliation again, just for the transcript.
Yeah, Cody Nesper, WV Sports Now. JJ, did you get a final number or a ballpark? How many people are going to come down from Virginia?
It was around like 30, something like that, maybe 50.
So how different is that? Obviously in Iowa City last year, there wasn't a ton of WVU fans that made that trip. So how different is that going to be that there is going to be sort of a section of supporters this year?
I think we feed off that fan base energy, especially like at home. Our energy with our fans is great. So just having them here to support us would be amazing.
This can go for any of you, but watching Columbia last night, they played pressure, but they played pressure differently than the way you guys do. They want to get something completely different out of it. So when you have that mindset for yourself defensively, how do you have to, I guess, change the way you approach the game then to try to attack what they do?
Jordan, you want to take this one?
Yeah, sure. I would say honestly, yeah, they play like a different pressure defense than we do. They kind of like their press kind of starts like at the free throw line, where ours is like wherever you go, we go. We go. But I think honestly, like attacking their pressure, we just gotta try to pass it through, get it to the middle, and then I feel like for them, honestly, I would say we just got to make sure that we just deny the ball, especially from out of number 10's hand. We're trying to get somebody else to handle the ball a little bit more to make it a little bit harder for them.
Yes, I would definitely say just stay true to what we do. And our pressure, I think, has been good for us all year. So just stay with that. And then against their pressure, I think our quickness, a lot of guards that can handle the ball. We got Kyle who can also bring the ball up the court. So got a lot of people who can handle it, bring the ball up, passing through it. Same as Jordan said. So yeah.
Yeah, I would say it's to be expected that they pressure differently because 2 different conferences, but just staying true to who we are and what we do will get us through the game.
Anybody else in the room? Yeah, go ahead. Remind your name and affiliation, please.
Sure, I was gonna apologize for that
That's all right,
just now.
that's all right.
Daniel Woods with WV Metro News. JJ, I know you've kind of downplayed your individual accomplishments, but you look at your scoring average, you look at the numbers for your career. You're averaging around 21 for the season. You're 19 away from that 2,000 point mark. Just to look across the board and look over the last 4 years, what's the feeling like coming into this weekend? Just knowing how far the program's come since you've been a part of it.
Honestly, I'm just ready to enjoy the moment. It's my last dance, so ready to show people what I can do.
We good in the room for now? Take it to Zoom here and see if anyone on the Zoom have a question they'd like to ask. Not seeing anything there, so we'll go down here to the front again.
Yeah, Cody Nesper, WV Sports Now. I guess for Jordan and JJ, what do you take out of last year's tournament? And obviously that environment was crazy, but what do you take out of that you've learned that, you know, either will make you better this year or just maybe more prepared for this?
I would definitely say the crowd for sure. Getting that experience playing in front of that many people, I think will help us this year in the tournament.
I would think just us staying together, trying to control what we can control and not worried about outside things like the refs.
Anything else? Oh, we do have one on Zoom, so we'll go to Jen Hatfield.
Hey everybody, Jen Hatfield with the Next. Just wanted to ask you, speaking of last year, you guys drew Princeton in the first round last year. Now you've got Columbia. Just did that cross your mind when you saw the result of last night that you were getting an Ivy League team again? And do you see any similarities as far back as you remember from last year?
JJ, you want to start with this one?
I mean, some similarities, but at the end of the day, it's just basketball games, another team, another game. So just got to go out there and play and do what we need to do.
And yeah, basically what JJ said, I mean, it did come across our mind that we're playing another Ivy League team first. But I think they kind of are similar with like toughness. I feel like all Ivy League teams are like unexpectedly tougher than people think they are. So.
Anything else for these young ladies?
Cody Nesper, WV Sports Now. It's going to be 2 weeks since you guys have played. So what do you do in that time to make sure there's no rust? And then how important is the first few minutes tomorrow? Just because obviously they just played, so you think they're going to be kind of ready to go.
Sydney, you want to dive in?
Yeah. I think we've done a pretty good job making sure we get up and down and get game reps just to make sure that we stay in rhythm and we don't come out here and look like it's been 2 weeks since we played. So the first couple of minutes is to be expected that we're going to have to settle down a little bit, but the quicker we settle in, I think, yeah.
We'll go down to left here.
Yeah, Daniel Woods, WV Metro News. As far as the atmosphere goes, you guys are used to playing in the Coliseum. It's been a great home court advantage this year. You just got done playing in Kansas City. Carmichael Arena is not as big as the Coliseum or where you would have played in the Big 12 tournament, and the fans are right on top of you. So mindset-wise, how do you guys prepare? I know Iowa City was crazy last year. There's not a lot that's going to match that. But how do you prepare to know you're going to have your fans, right on top of you, but the Columbia fans are going to be down there as well?
Just got to stay locked in with each other. Whoever's on the court, that's who we playing for. So all the outside noise really don't matter.
Yeah, exactly what she said.
Anything else from the folks on Zoom? Anything for the folks in the room? All right. Thank you, ladies. Appreciate it. Good luck. Doesn't know. All righty, gang. We're back with head coach Mark Kellogg. All the same things as before. So go ahead, raise your hand, grab the mic, identify yourself, and we'll get started.
I'm Mark, Doug Bonjour with the AP. Just curious, going into last night, obviously there's a possibility you could face Columbia or someone else. How did that affect your preparation in terms of not knowing who you would play until that game was over?
Yeah, well, it added a little work on the front end of the week, for sure. So this was our first time, having to do this in the NCAA tournament and not necessarily knowing your opponent. So we just kind of divided the week a little bit, as in a couple days, all right, let's prepare for Columbia. A couple days, maybe we'll prepare for Washington. So we didn't get to this point and not have any preparation at all. And so it was just, maybe a few less days than you normally would if you were waiting to play on Saturday and know your opponent. You have a few more days to prep. And they're different teams, so that didn't completely help, either. They do play a little bit differently. But I liked our prep. I thought we were good. Once we found out who won, it was a little bit easier for us to now reflect on some of the things we had talked about earlier in the week.
Down to the left here.
Daniel Woods with WV Metro News. Just on paper, what stands out, not on paper because you saw him last night, but what stands out about Columbia that you feel like you really have to hammer home today?
Yeah, and I think it showed through on film, too. It always helps to see teams play live, and you just get to see them in real time. I think they're very tough. I thought we learned that a year ago when we played Princeton of the Ivy League, just how tough that league is. And just physically, like they just battle their elite offensive rebounding team, like one of the top 10 offensive rebounding teams in the country. They can play at pace. They like to pressure a little bit and turn teams over. Offensively, they can get in rhythm. They got a ton of different actions, some quality talent, very, very well coached. They have our full attention is what I like to say. We will prepare for them like we have all year.
Hi, Mark. Cody Nesper, WV Sports Now. Did you notice Columbia using those cue cards on the bench? And have you ever seen a team do something like that?
Yeah, I think we've seen it a little bit. Obviously, not nearly as much as like the football world does that, and they have a little bit more time. I don't know if Columbia's done that all year, but we noticed in their last few games for sure that they were doing that. So, we took notice of it. I don't know that we know what all of it means or even want to spend our time trying to figure it all out. But it's certainly a way to communicate for them that they found a little niche with.
Cody Nesper, WV Sports Now. What the experience last year in Iowa City, what do you expect, and I guess what do you kind of hope that the girls that played there have taken and learned from that they can apply, tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, experience every time you go through it, you get a little bit better. You understand what to expect. And whether that's game, it's what leads up to the game. It's these press conferences. It's all of it. But playing in the Big 12, I think, also gives you lots of opportunities to play in front of, whether it's fans, great venues, big games. Big 12 tournament has that similar feel. Some of the rules and how you prepare, and can't touch the balls, and you get your limited practice times, and all of that prepares us for these opportunities. You just want to be playing well. You want to be healthy. I always say mentally and physically fresh, and if you can do that on March, whatever we're at these days, then I think you're in a pretty good spot. And we'll just draw on those experiences and stay the course. And these games seem to take forever, and you hang on to every single possession, which is what you should do. And so we'll just kind of condense it and play some small 4 or 5 minute games. And if you win more of those, then you typically get the outcome that you want.
Go down to the right here.
Hey, Coach, Doug Feinberg, the Associated Press. You've coached at a few different levels in women's basketball. How big is it now for the sport to have units attached to the tournament that the men have to have financial incentives to winning games and playing in this tournament now?
Yeah, long time coming, I think, is what we would like to say, and a reward for, I think the female athletes were working as hard, the viewership, the excitement, the commitment level is at an all-time high, and we want to continue to play off of that. I think it's a reward for our players, our programs. We're getting a lot of eyes and attention on our sport right now. And so I think it's just a reward for, not the current kids, but for all those that have played for many, many years. And I did it at a lot of levels, and not that all the other lower levels are getting it, but maybe it filters down in some capacity, but certainly a reward for the kids in the NCAA tournament that are doing right by their school and university.
Down here to the left, Coach.
Daniel Woods, WV Metro News. Asked the players about it. What's it like preparing for a team in Columbia that is going to pressure you, knowing that you like to do the same thing? And it seems that sometimes their pressure doesn't necessarily try to accomplish the same things that yours does. But we saw you guys against Niagara take care of a team that really tries to pressure people and turn them over earlier in the year. So what's that process like in terms of trying to get ready for a team that is going to pose some of the same challenges to you that you are going to them?
Yeah, I think you're just at this point, you're drawing off previous game plans of teams that have played a similar way, and not that we have a lot of those in our league that play like Columbia does. But we have some, and so those are game plans that you just go back in and you draw off of that game plan and, remind them some familiarity, even from personnel, like we like to compare them to kids maybe from our conference that we're familiar with, so we can say, oh, this number 24 at Columbia plays like so-and-so, in our league, and then that's just because we're not quite as familiar, and then that resonates. So it's just going back to game plans that work. Yes, we do it a little bit differently in what we do with our press or pressure, but we'll be prepared. We've seen things like this, but you just never know if it's going to be the same or not until you get out there and play.
Cody Nesper, WV Sports Now. Mark, you're kind of in a unique circumstance. There's a few teams where you haven't played for a couple weeks and you're facing a team that played last night. So just how important is the first few minutes to where, if you guys have any rust, you imagine Columbia is going to be, ready to go?
Yeah, that's the part that's probably not ideal about the early conference tournament is the last time we had 2 weeks between games was before the season started. So this has been a long time since we've had this big of a break. We did do it, I don't know if it was 2 weeks, but it was fairly close last year. But yes, you're right. The first few minutes, first quarter is really important. If we fast forward to the conference tournament, it was the same way. Kansas State played the night before. We did not. That was not a very good first quarter for us. Maybe the worst quarter we had played all year. So we do need to settle in really, really quickly. So again, hopefully we just had that experience, although it was a couple weeks ago. We've tried to keep the rhythm and flow through these 2 weeks, give them some time off, stay fresh, but at the same time, you got to be ready to play at the speed in which we're going to have to play at to have success tomorrow.
Mark, Doug Bonjour, the AP. Just what has JJ meant to the team in terms of just her experience and what she brings on the floor, and how key is it to have someone like that, in an environment like this?
Yeah, no, it's huge. The kid's played in some big-time games. She's a very even-keel, level-headed kid. I've called her the unassuming superstar since I've been here. But yeah, it's just a kid that she's a ball hawk on defense. She's an elite two-way player, we think. Defensive player of the year, obviously, in our league 2 times in a row now. And then, she's pretty dynamic in the open floor and the half court. She can get you points. She's been on a pretty good, I've used the term heater here lately, but she's just kind of really found her rhythm and her way here as this year has gone on and settled in. And, the kid, she's just wanted to leave a legacy. She's played through 3 coaching changes, stayed here through 3 coaching changes, which is very rare these days. So very, very loyal kid, great teammate, easy to play with, easy to cheer for. As a coach, she's everything you would want a kid to be in so many ways. And I just think she's a calming influence for her teammates. Just if we're not going very well, it's kind of get the ball to JJ and get out of the way, so to speak, at times, and just let her be as dynamic as she can be.
Coach Doug Farmer, the AP, to piggyback on the previous question, did you guys do more live scrimmaging the last 2 weeks to keep them fresh? Did you adjust maybe more than you might have done during the regular season when you have games every 3 or 4 days?
Yeah, we did a little bit of everything. We took time off. We played some, short games. It wasn't like at length, but we wanted their lungs to go a little bit. And but it's late in the year, and some kids have played a lot of minutes, and so we run through with quite a few groups, put different lineups out there so they can just kind of play with more lineups that they might play with for a few minutes. Use our male practice team to do it, just to get us at the right speed. And, you shorten practices, you don't go as long, but you try to keep intensity up as much as you can. And then there's always the thought of somebody getting hurt or injured in the back of your mind, so you want to be a little careful there too. And so it's a balancing act for sure, but I would say we've did a little bit of get up and down and get their lungs going to pull back and really focus on us. We've spent a lot of time on us, which is a little weird late in the year, getting kids excited to practice and just worry about us is not always the easiest part late March.
Daniel Woods, WV Metro News. With as good an offensive rebounding team as Columbia is and as physically as they want to play inside, with the way you've kind of rotated your front court throughout the year, finding the right matchups, how important is that to get the right mix of players inside on the floor when you play against a team like that?
Yeah, there'll be some fun matchups in this one for sure. They can kind of go smaller, where we're maybe a little bit bigger. So do they match us? Do we match them? What's the, that coaching back and forth? And, that's what's fun. That's what makes the preparation as a coach. You're trying to prepare your group. You're trying to think through every game plan that you can ahead of time, but then half the time you got to throw them out once the ball's tipped anyway, and you got to adjust, on the fly. It looked like Columbia made some really good adjustments at halftime in that game yesterday, and they kind of tweaked probably the game plan they had going in, and that seemed to work in their favor. So I think you try to prepare as much as you can as a coach, but then know that you may have to make some adjustments. But no, they're certainly a lead on the rebounding side of it, especially on the offensive end. They're very physical, tough. So we're fully prepared and expect it to be a dogfight and a battle.
We good in the room? We do have one question on Zoom, Coach. Jen, I'm going to unmute you. You can go ahead.
Hi, Coach. Jen Hatfield with the Next. You kind of alluded to this a little bit earlier, but curious, just what's your reaction to this being the second straight year you're getting an Ivy League team in the NCAA tournament? And, obviously different programs, different coaches, but does having that experience against Princeton last year prepare you in any way for this game or help you kind of approach that matchup?
Yeah, a little bit, but not a ton. Like you said, 2 completely different teams. They play a little bit differently. I think you have a ton of respect for the Ivy League. Princeton battled us. We were down at half going into that game, and I think we had a pretty good third quarter to kind of separate a little bit, and then we got to watch them play another Power 4 team last night and ultimately win that one. So really, no, like I said, they have our ultimate respect, our ultimate attention. We're excited to play. We understand everybody's good at this point. They've had a phenomenal year. They have a great culture. They have a championship culture. That group stays together. They've got a really good thing going at Columbia, and we, like I said, we're very well aware of it, and it will take our best effort to advance.
We'll go back down here to the front, Coach.
Daniel Woods, WV Metro News. Over the last couple of weeks, between starting with the Big 12 tournament and the high school tournaments in West Virginia, there's been a lot of tournament basketball for the Kellogg family. Have you guys had a chance to breathe yet?
Yeah, no, and it's still going. We played in the conference tournament. My daughter played in West Virginia State tournament, got beaten in the championship game, state championship game a year ago. My son will play tonight in the state semifinal, and then if they were to advance, they would play tomorrow night for the state title. So we are full force. It hit us last year, and growing up, I thought I was prepared as a coach for these moments when your kids are having their opportunity to, and it's hard. The dad strings, it pulls on you pretty hard when you're not there for your kids. Duty calls for now, and so we'll see what we can do and hope for the best for the boys team. And daughter fell one game short, but had a great season in her sophomore year. So yeah, really proud of them, happy for them. They're chasing their dreams, and I guess Dad's still a little bit older, but chasing his.
Anything else for the folks in the room? All righty, Coach.
Okay, thanks everybody.
Appreciate it. Good luck.
Thank you.
As a reminder, Hammond Communications will post a recording of this press conference in the NCAA Digital Media Hub at ncaa.veritone.com. Transcripts are provided by ASAP and will be posted shortly. Thank you for joining us.